I stood as, I tried to think of the difficult situation it was. In early 81, just when the STP was about to be born, and I was strongly in favour of it, and I'd been part of it for 5 years, 6 years before, privately with Jenkins anyway, plotting the way slowly how to bring it about, and the Dimbleby lecture and the speeches that we made in Haverford West back in '74. It was all a long journey for 7, 8 years, you know. But nothing was, hadn't come to fruition. I tried to get Gower for Labour, and we've been through that, forget that. Well, okay, now join the SDP, getting prominent in the SDP. Well, suddenly, Ivor Davies died. He was preaching, he used to preach a lot in the chapel in Three Crosses, where he lived. And apparently he collapsed in the pulpit and died. And I remember I was out. And I came back home. And Laura said to me, you wouldn't believe what's happened. Ivor Davies has died. Well, I knew what had to do, had to happen. You know what I mean? Tom was in the north. Tom wouldn't be suited to fight Gower along the same principles as Gwilym Priest Davies wasn't suited to fight Gwynoro in Carmarthen in '66. I knew inevitably along this road, before long, in the next month or two, I would be the candidate for Gower now. The by-election, okay? Now, well, that was a tremendous by-election. But it happened after the Falklands War. If it hadn't been for the Falklands War, we would have won. We smashed Labour's majority from about 20,000 to 7,000, I think. You know, if it hadn't been for the Falklands, which had just happened 2 or 3 months before, fresh in people's mind, which boosted the Tory vote, held the Tory vote together. It didn't collapse. Whereas in other by-elections before the Falklands, the Tory vote collapsed all the time, and it voted SDP when it didn't happen. And of course, who was the candidate against me? My schoolmate, my classmate, Gareth Woodell. You know, I just said in an earlier interview, the 2 most naughtiest boys in Gwentworth Grammar School. An amazing story, an absolute amazing turn of events over all those years. But it was a nasty campaign, not between him and I, you know. We were friends and we got on with it, and there was no hatred between Gareth, and never has been since either. I haven't seen him for years. But there was no hatred during the campaign. I said nothing nasty about him, he said nothing nasty about me. But Mr. Kinnock arrived in Gower, and one day I was canvassing in the council estate in Pennerhale, in Gosaiden. And who came along on a loudspeaker on a different van but Neil? And he really went for me on the microphone. Really went for me, you know. He was vitriolic. And I just laughed and didn't answer him. I didn't go on my mic and shout it back. I just listened to him, and all I was doing was laughing on my mic. And people were out in front of their houses listening to Kinnock with a tirade on me as a devolutionist, traitor, two-faced. Those were the words he was using. Anyway, we just went our separate ways. The night of the count, when Labour realised they had lost a significant majority of their vote, then some of the senior Labour people in Gower Party got a bit annoyed with me. And one of them, who was senior member of the county council, a Labour councillor, before the result was declared, said to me, within the earshot of the chairman of the STP Gower Party and one of my agents, David Heap, an old Labour guy from London, who was a hardline person, fearless, you know, and he heard this councillor threatening me. We'll be after your job now, Gwynoro, he said to me. Back in County Halsey, we'll be after your job now. So David Heap went up to him. I heard that, Mr. Davies, he said. I'll be writing tomorrow to the leader of the council, and to Mr Rush, the Chief Executive, seeking assurances that there would not be any consequences for Gwynoro Jones because of what has happened in this by-election. He was caught, didn't he? He was caught and he was then trapped and he couldn't do a thing, because there was now a witness to what had been said and what they were intending to do. Anyway, now I had a decision. 83 general election, I had to stand again. Got the same sort of vote, I think. But the Tory did much better this time. Maggie now, the Falklands effect was really kicking in. And the Tory vote now, well, I think they only lost by about 800.
And the Labour Party itself was in turmoil, wasn't it?
Yes, but they only lost by 800. If I had not been the candidate, having been there for the by-election, therefore held the vote, if somebody else, I reckon this person, and he was from London or somewhere, not from Gower. He was, as we call in Wales, a Dean Dwad. A man who's arrived on the scene. And he only lost by 800. They were devastated that night, the Labour Party, how close it came to losing Gower. Okay, off we go. Well, forgetting the SDP alliance for a minute now, since we're on this trail of elections,